This is the Studio Shangri-La podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Eichert, and today I'll be reading one of my articles, Activating the Ageless Algorithm. It's from almost a couple of years ago now, and has appeared on a couple of sites, in addition to StudioShangri-La.com. The article begins with a couple of quotations. Discover firsthand the eternity of life, light, and truth, as well as the illusion of death, darkness, and sin. Though the modern world may know a million secrets, the ancient world knew one, and that one was greater than the million. For the million secrets breed death, disaster, sorrow, selfishness, lust, and avarice. But the one secret confers life, light, and truth. The time will come when the secret wisdom shall again be the dominating religious and philosophical urge of the world. The dying God shall rise again. Manly Hall. Get busy living or get busy dying. And that's from the Shawshank Redemption. An algorithm is a set of instructions implemented for problem solving or computation. Let's examine some logical instructions for immortality. 1. Belief. Let's start with that deepest instruction. Many philosophers and other figures of note have agreed that the power of belief is potent. Affirmations and meditation then affirm the belief as a way of life. Focus on life and joy is based in faith. Focus on death is fear-based and generates anxiety and pressure. Could death now be considered a modern farce and sort of irony that we have the gift of life and then focus on supposedly inevitable death and heaven? It looks to me like we live in the heavens. Just look at the sky, or photos from the Hubble telescope. Yes, though, there are layers we can't see. What I'm saying is, I believe we have options. Humanity seems to be at a point, both technologically and spiritually, to opt out of death, as determined by the individual, to be able to upgrade and transform within the same life cycle. Although many came before to help us get to this point. And the individual must, of course, love life and cosmos in order to want to continue. Rest, bodiless travel, that's what we have sleep for. For youthfulness and quality of life, the individual must be in a regeneration mindset instead of a degenerative one. This implies faith in the body, the self's ability to heal, learn, and evolve. Biological immortality is a great quantum leap and inevitably creates new culture. Matter is the necessary channel for the self-differentiation of spirit. Genevieve Barrett. Section 2. Habits. Way of life, the Tao, flow. This next instruction of the Ageless algorithm encompasses daily habits and manner. As mentioned in the previous instruction, having an open ended lifespan de stresses one's manner and culture significantly. To live like an immortal would mean free enjoyment of all life has to offer without the pressure of an ultimate deadline. It would mean open ended achievement, the rethinking and revamping of healthcare, the stewardship of environment, which should happen anyway. All in all, I think a great idea. I happen to believe that we live in a benevolent universe because everywhere we look, there is proof of that. Why death then? Why indeed? It's been done for a while now, so perhaps the time is nigh for something new. Time is a tool and system of measurement for scheduling. It does not have to determine lifespan. In this way, we can begin to experience multidimensionality, like the quantum world. On one level, the measure of time applies. On another level, other qualities are timeless. You may have experienced a taste of timelessness recently during the pandemic. I sure did, during which the names of the days, sunups, and sundowns blurred together. A whole year that felt like a time warp. The immortal being would get plenty of sleep for recharging, without any regard for missing out on something, or FOMO, fear of missing out. There are plenty of plants and animals that do this and live a very long time. We can continue to learn from them without dissecting them, and make no mistake, they too continue to learn and evolve. Consider city birds that have trained us not to mess with them and to feed them instead. The immortal being would not engage in cruel, murderous, or torturous behaviors. Having gained infinite sight, there would be little point, and much less existential angst. Above all, engaging in death or destructive activities leads to more death. Focusing on death leads to that. You can guess the flip side of the coin, perhaps. Focusing on enjoying life and living, experiences, and exploration leads to more life. Rest periods would be expected and should be. The pace of work, however one sees fit for one's occupation. And then to each their own. Live and let live, and on and on. After all, we're soon expanding to other planets, thanks to aerospace giants. The only sense of urgency there is excitement, and that will need more room. To summarize this instruction so far, way of life converts from survival or fight or flight to arrival. There are many ways of saying this in different idioms. If you go ahead and live in the moment that way, you may find that your health and your quality of life vastly improve. Section 3. Food. The next instruction of the Ageless algorithm is to eat and supplement intentionally. I believe supplements should be regarded as augmentations and catalysts, helpers, and not dependencies. There is a plant also for every ailment and attribute. For example, I have a growing collection of botanical extracts on my shelf. I think for maximum benefit there, it's necessary to shelve any really illogical skepticism about the fruits of spaceship Earth. The overall shift to more respectful, non invasive medicine and healthcare that gets back to nature a bit will support longevity and immortality very directly through vital nutrients and also philosophy, way of being. Consider that immortal Hippocrates quotation: "Let thy food be thy medicine." Grape skin, for example, contains what's been named resveratrol, a substance linked to various benefits, including brain health. Although this and other substances are found concentrated in supplement form, the benefit and easy, tasty access of whole foods in general is clear. Another compound identified in connection with longevity, among others, is NAD, or nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, associated with adult stem cell production. That too comes in supplement form, yet it is also available in foods like fish and mushrooms. And here's an aside quotation, by the way, that research into adult stem cells has been fueled by their abilities to divide or self renew indefinitely and generate all the cell types of the organ from which they originate, potentially regenerating the entire organ from a few cells. That's from Science Daily. This is kind of funny to extract what we already have inside of us and put it back in a way, which implies that perhaps what we also need is a new level of awareness. In my previous article, examining biological immortality in nature, I identified the disaccharide sweetener trehalose as possibly beneficial for longevity purposes, given its production by some plants and animals as a protective crystallization against the elements or in a period of dormancy. Overall, deliberate choice of intake, rich in vitamins and minerals, enhances bodily processes and therefore quality of life. In support of that adage, you are what you eat, having as many foods with live active enzymes as possible is the way to go. You may already have many beneficial ingredients on hand, like turmeric with curcumin, or apples and onions with quercetin, for example. This is naming a few of probably millions. Knowing and learning the usefulness and value of plants makes them more effective, and such is the power of intention plus understanding. Section 4. Growth. When beliefs and habits change, so do biology and outer reality. The universe is a body in motion, and so are we by default. Yet with increasing choice as a result of intelligence and integration of infinite and multidimensional concepts. There are other concurrent levels of reality that we cannot directly see, like the life of our cells in the quantum realm. Consider for a moment the universal systems, including ourselves, exponentially have been gathering more and more intelligence and then discernment. For every thought, desire, or group desire, quantum particles or energetic counterparts are forming and functioning as carriers or messengers that help shape physical reality. The output of the brain has been measured in wave functions, and so that of the heart. Physical manifestations in the personal universe or experience and beyond are conjectured to be affected by the strength and coherence of the signals and vice versa. Here's a flight of the imagination, an example of possible group thought form manifestation. The black hole, an astronomical phenomenon predicted and then sought after for over a century. And then just 2 years ago, at last appears for observation. Something very much sought after and imagined. Something to chew on. That the benevolent, algorithmic style cosmos we find ourselves in is somewhat malleable, with overriding geometries, substances, laws, safeties, if you will. If intelligence exists at our level of reality, it is reasonable to suppose it exists on many levels, or all levels. What if, as the division of our societies loosen and dissolve, we begin to see more? That's already happening, really. Just keeping tabs on NASA, SpaceX, among others, what's going on, popular culture. And according to popular Wikipedia, immortality, Homo Deus, or the transhuman, the next evolutionary step for humanity is here. And not a nightmarish cyborg or disfiguration, just the best of us, more intelligent and vital, with possible constructive enhancements. Our tech creations also can teach us. We've been rising and learning through generations towards the achievement of formerly wild dreams. Note, though, it's been postulated by certain ancients who already realized some of this. Growth is an expression of ideals and desire, and that there's certainly more to explore. Explorers to the vast online network, to even the bloom of a common jellyfish. In the article, I feature a photo of the Aurelia aurita jellyfish, the Latin meaning golden ear or listening. And there are a lot of these around Boston wharfs. These golden listening ears are also known as moon jellyfish because a specimen of Aurelia went to the moon. It's optionally asexual and arguably immortal. Yeah, it went to the moon. If you want to gauge the effects of that, take a look at human history. Only a few people had to go to the moon for the entire species to be affected. Just recently, in the past few years, the Aurelia aurita was identified as being able to reverse its life cycle. Like the Turritopsis dorsey, the immortal jellyfish, to my knowledge, first identified, now and immortal, in a sea of possibilities. Part 5. Environment and Technology. Our lives are inextricably linked with our home, spaceship Earth. A paradise to us because the rest of the solar system is somewhat inhospitable to my knowledge, at least to us. Of course, plans and efforts are directed towards being able to terraform, and also deep space travel towards exoplanets, such as Proxima b. The beautiful Earth is our immediate priority. As is obvious at this point, the continued reform of our habits and renovation of our systems is necessary to sustain healthy ways of human life in connection with the healthy environment and ecosystems. Both can and should thrive. Technologies, both old and new, are relevant to sustainability and a non-destructive lifestyle. Sustainable forestry and solar power, for example, are not new concepts. They just have to be implemented. In the case of forestry, we do have material alternatives such as concrete, bamboo, hemp, and plant-based biopolymers. Elon Musk said in an X Prize broadcast that you can't just plant trees. Well, the truth of it is, yes, one can. They can grow just about anywhere and in any way. Have you noticed? The architect Vincent Cayabo, not sure if I'm saying his last name correctly, to be honest. Anyway, for example, he incorporates thousands of trees into his buildings. And again, besides, the trees knew how to grow themselves long before we got involved. Yeah, plants can grow through asphalt and concrete. So they're great teachers on how to survive and thrive. We can help and herd in a way, though. And that's the concept of stewardship. What is also needed is quite simply big companies continuing to make both small and big changes, yet with a bit greater speed and scope. As in solar power, that massive fiery glowing orb in the sky is fairly easy to channel and use. Our health is connected to that of our environment. Air quality, plant life, natural resources, etc. What we improve in quality of life as a collective affects us as individuals. This is outside of any political system, outside of any one person or group or agenda. It's just the facts that there are more constructive ways of living on this planet. And the effect on the planet, flora and fauna, is a direct gauge of this. If you're not fond of this viewpoint, it seems to me this could be a state of denial, and is certainly a bit suicidal because we can't live without those things, water and arbor. And we come from them. Evolutionary and developmentally speaking. Things are changing though, as a matter of necessity. And there could be a newfound or rediscovered cohesion of technology and environment, which of course, as I said before, ultimately stem from the same source. It's just how we put them to use and maintain them. Longevity and even immortality depend on sustainable living systems and healthy environments. In my opinion, the eco-tech pursuits to prioritize are solar electric power, materials science, and advanced waste management solutions, especially the ocean cleanups, which are already happening. On an individual level, which will continue into the final part of the ageless algorithm, the constructive, supportive environment of each person is important for us to thrive and positively potentiate humanity. Which brings us to the last part, which starts in the original article with that Disco lyric. You see, you were born to be alive. Part 6 is enjoyment. The final and most important instruction of activating the ageless algorithm is enjoying life, which encompasses all the aforementioned parts, enjoyment of the little things and the big things. Enjoyment is vital to the multifaceted state of health: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual soul. Contained in the word enjoyment is the word joy. And that kind of unbridled satisfaction that can come just from life itself, like the sunlight sparkling on a river. Just being able to witness in this grand theater. So why necessarily leave it behind? Personally, I'm anticipating a space flight, and I'm thankful to have come this far across the genetic threads of many lifetimes to even be considering all these possibilities. In the search for purpose, the greatest one is to live and be alive, enjoying all the cosmos has to offer us at the time, which is a lot. Circumstances differ, to be sure, but perhaps as we are living longer and even indefinitely, we can work out more pressing issues, enough to live in relative open-ended peace. It pays off to keep on dreaming and doing. And there are so many examples of this, past and definitely present. It also pays off to relax regularly, invest in oneself, and take in the natural abundance all around us. In the original article, there's a photo that concludes of a tardigrade floating in space. It's an illustration. The tardigrade has on sunglasses and is sipping what looks like a tropical drink. The tardigrade says, "You can do it. I believe in you."